Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on, I guess, The Flash, but also Arrow and also Supergirl and just the rest of the multiverse in general. So the Elseworlds crossover we had this season was great to watch, but in reality, when you think about it, it was just one big setup. But what was it setting up exactly? Well, if you didn't just switch the TV off as soon as characters left the screen on your TV, you would have seen the announcement that in fall of next year, or 2019, we would have Crisis on Infinite Earths hitting our screens, which, even if you haven't read the story, you would have heard about that story, and it sent Twitter crazy just after the episode ended, and I'm sure it sent everyone watching that was, familiar with it crazy as well, but also concerned in more ways than one. Now, I will actually be giving away a copy of Crisis on Infinite Earths, like the comic book, the graphic novel. Just leave a like on the video and let me know in the comments section down below one thing, or one person, just one thing, I guess, you want to see in next year's crossover. So leave a like, let me know in the comments whatever that is, and you're entered. But to start off, what is Crisis on Infinite Earths? Like, why should you give a damn? Why are people going crazy over this? Well, Crisis on Infinite Earths was like a massive, catastrophic event that resulted in the destruction of countless parallel universes, or Earths, and the recreation of it all into a singular universe, or Earth. That is pretty much the best way to sum up the end result of what happened, sort of. What it really was a way in which DC Comics fixed their timelines, restructured their characters, both heroes and villains, as well as just cleaning some clutter from the past, that including certain characters and events. Which, when you think about it, isn't the easiest thing to do, and it is actually quite risky, as you really don't know what the response of fans is going to be. They could love it, or they could just completely hate it, and then you lose a lot of fans. And that is sort of what the Arrowverse could face following this event. People could love it, or people could completely hate it. Now, throughout the Elseworlds crossover, the Monitor alluded to an even greater threat lurking there, out there somewhere in the multiverse. His goal in this crossover, by giving Dr. Deegan the Book of Destiny, wasn't to wreak havoc or chaos, but just simply to test the multiverse's best and brightest in the hope of finding heroes capable of standing against this all-powerful enemy that he was alluding to. Obviously, we saw Earth 90 fail, and we know other Earths failed out there before them as well, but Earth 1, hey, they got something right there. Now, throughout the crossover, the Monitor never confirms the identity of that mysterious threat, but it's obviously the Anti-Monitor, who is the brother of the Monitor and is nothing less than a destroyer of reality itself, and he's coming to destroy the multiverse. As we saw in the crossover, the Monitor was able to defeat superheroes without even trying, just like a swish and flick of his wrist for the most part. So just imagine how much worse the Anti-Monitor must be if the Monitor is that scared of him. But let's jump into some frequently asked questions, or FAQs, about this crossover coming next year, which I'm sure many of you have been asking yourself as well. So first up, what other shows will be involved? So many people have been wondering if we could get any new additions with this crossover in regards to shows. Obviously, we are going to have The Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl involved as... Well, do I even have to explain that? If Legends of Tomorrow is around next season, which I think it will be, even though people think it will get cancelled, that will be in there as well, as it's such a huge event. If Legends were in Crisis on Earth X, then they will be involved in this as well. And also, due to stuff we've seen on The Flash this season in regards to future stuff, we know that members of the Legends are there at the event. Batwoman is most likely getting her own show. It hasn't been confirmed, but it's most likely going to happen. However, I don't think that show will start until the mid-season following this crossover, as it would be super weird for them to start that show, introduce characters and all of that, and then have this crossover happen that should rewrite the multiverse, and just the Earth Batwoman is on in general. So Batwoman as a character will most likely be involved, but her show most likely won't. So we're not going to get an episode of the crossover on Batwoman. Black Lightning is the only show on the CW that isn't in the Arrowverse currently, but it presumably is somewhere out there in the multiverse, I guess. And sure, that has a chance at playing a part, but if anything, Black Lightning would just be added into the Arrowverse following the crossover, rather than taking part. But I could see them possibly maybe playing a cameo in an episode. It's hard to tell at this point. Now, how will Crisis on Infinite Earths be set up? Now, the fact that this crossover is being announced so far in advance, giving us fans essentially a full year to stress out and hopefully get emotionally prepared for whatever is to come, it does put the shows on a slightly different ground from the previous crossovers, where essentially shit just happened at this, and then they acted. And while Elseworlds began to lay some of the groundwork to bring this crossover to life with the introduction of characters such as the Monitor, Psycho Pirate, and also hinting at the Anti-Monitor, there's arguably still a lot more to cover and potentially set up. So with that in mind, how will each show prepare for the crossover? Will we see more Easter eggs and teasers dropped in the next year of shows towards the Crisis crossover? Or will the event take a lot of the Arrowverse's heroes by surprise, apart from possibly one character? And that is our next question. How does Oliver Queen play into all of this? What deal did he make with the Monitor? So what we saw bring about the final act of this year's crossover was Oliver confronting the Monitor, asking if there was any way that he could reverse the fates of Barry and Kara. So of course, Barry and Kara were destined to die trying to slow down the Earth and slow down time. And of course, as we saw, the Monitor agreed, and we saw Oliver return with a Destiny Arrow, as I've been calling it. Not sure what you guys have been referring it to it as. But we didn't actually learn what Oliver offered on his end. What exactly could Oliver give up once next year's crossover comes around? Is there a chance he will sacrifice himself instead of Barry and Kara? Or is something else at play? Now, I will be doing a video separately on Oliver and his potential sacrifice, which I think is actually a bad idea, and I will explain more in that video. But Barry and Kara both die in the comic story of Crisis on Infinite Earths, but were spared from their destined deaths in Elseworlds, so just sort of keep that in mind. Are we getting a time jump in next year's crossover event? As we know from watching the shows, The Flash is the only show, I'm pretty sure, to hint at this event going down, excluding Easter eggs, of course, with the show using a newspaper from the Crisis event as a point of reference for certain things since all the way back in Season 1, and we are still getting it at this point in Season 5. At the beginning of Season 5, or this season, we did get a look at a newspaper from 2049, which actually gave us more information on the 2024 event that made it sound even more like the Crisis on Infinite Earths story and event from the comics. So will that actually be the case, and will the Arrowverse as a whole be willing to jump that far in time to get there, or will the event be changed or retconned to appear in 2019? Now personally, I think it's like a 50-50. If they jump forward, they can do whatever they want, as it would be surprising if any of the shows currently on was still airing in 2024. Yes, even The Flash. But then again, doing it in 2019 allows us to feel the effects of this big event on the shows in present day and the world the shows are on. But yeah, as I said, it's probably like a 50-50 as to what they're going to do. I don't think either is more likely to happen at this point. But also, it's important to remember that in the OG timeline where Barry did disappear in 2024, he had only become the Flash in 2020. So they could make it that because he became the Flash in 2014, he's actually sort of overdue to have this event to happen to him, because that event originally happened only 4 years into him being the Flash, but now he is currently 5, going on 6 years being the Flash. So maybe they could go down that route. Should we expect any new characters to show up? Well, an Earth 90 Green Lantern is a big chance thanks to the little Easter egg from the Elseworlds crossover. Harbinger is a big chance as she works with Anti-Monitor in the comics, and Harbinger, her actual name is actually Lila Michaels, who we of course have on Arrow as Diggle's wife, and like the head of Argus. So that would be interesting. Lex Luthor is also showing up in Supergirl later this season, so he could show up in the crossover. If he's still around, they can use him. But who knows who they'll bring in. Maybe they might finally show us some Batman. One can hope. What will happen afterwards? How do we move forward following the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover and just the event in general? Well, considering how much of an impact this event had in the comics, and the fact that the Arrowverse is planting these scenes, this early on, you can't really help but wonder just how much of an impact the television version of this event will have on the Arrowverse. Will we see any of the shows set on other Earths, such as Supergirl and Black Lightning, be merged onto Earth 1? A lot of people thought that might have actually happened in the Elseworlds crossover. Will we see certain things that the Arrowverse hasn't even mentioned or introduced, just show up in this new world? Titans, Smallville, where are they placed? Are they game? Many questions at this moment. Not so many answers though, but really the possibilities are infinite. And I guess the last question has to be, will it be faithful to the source material? And I think in regards to the major elements and characters involved, you'd have to think yes it will. We can already tell it will because Psycho Pirate's there, Anti-Monitor is alluded to, the Monitor's there, all of that. The deaths and how the merging works or possibly doesn't work is up for debate. That's an issue that could arise and not be faithful. But we all know there is just under a year until this comes around, so we have lots and lots and lots of time to discuss what and what might not be happening in the crossover come fall of 2019. But yeah guys, that's it. If you enjoyed the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what you went over. What are you looking forward to most in Crisis on Infinite Earths? Do you have any issues with what I said? Let me know in the comment section down below. As I said, if you want to win a copy of Crisis on Infinite Earths, like the actual comic, just leave a like and let me know in the comment section down below one thing you're looking forward to in next year's crossover. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later guys. Goodbye.